What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Navigating Modern Dating. We are back. I think were we off last week? No, all these things are running together. We were off last week. We did the female POV. I think at this point that show is going to come to an end. Um, the same issues that have always plagued it continue to plague it. The women are flaky. We can't get them to show up. We can't get them to answer. And so that being said, like I think I've mentioned this before, there's a new thing that I'm working on with this new company that I've been working with in the dating sphere. So that's hopefully going to get spun up into a live studio soon down here in Tampa, and then either we'll be recording it directly to this channel, my channel, or like a separate one. But Navigating Modern Dating, we'll keep doing this. We'll keep doing the 2-man show, and I'll keep doing like the short form videos and things like that. So doing it a little bit of a different time slot tonight. I know it's not Tuesday at 8 p.m. currently. We had to move some things around, but that will be the normal time slot going forward. So we appreciate the patience for guys that have been wanting to watch these and not knowing what the hell we've been doing for the last couple of weeks. Anyway, tonight we wanted to talk about a couple of different things. So I've given you guys some background on some of the stuff I've been doing with this company. It's called Meet in the Wild. They started as a speed dating company down here in Tampa. They expanded to a couple different markets like Dallas, and they're working on a few more. And they started off doing speed dating, and now they're going into the matchmaking space. So they've brought me in to work with a lot of their VIP clients, and essentially as a coach. And so what's interesting is I'm going to be working with both men and women, which is interesting in a way, and I'll kind of see how I navigate that. But there was this comment that in this back and forth that I was having with this woman the other day. So I'll go on their Instagram and I'll post polls and I'll post questions, and I'll post questions to men, I'll post questions to women, and I'll try to get some dialogue and some back and forth. So I made the mistake of saying, "All right, ladies, list your top red flags for men," and then it was just hate, hate, hate. And I was like, I can't deal with this for the next like 24 hours. I was like, let's talk about green flags. But one of the red flag comments was a guy that won't stand on his convictions. And I go, oh, that's really interesting. Can you follow up with that a little bit? And this goes back to a quick aside. This is something that, Jack and I were talking about this past weekend on Rule Zero that I got on, which was a lot of fun, where I think the majority of the time, or the reason that a lot of women are unwilling to quote unquote tell the truth, or when they're operating their PR, when people are like, oh, like, why do you guys do these shows? The women never tell the truth. And I think what a lot of these red pill podcasts get wrong is that they'll ask women questions and they'll get an answer and they'll immediately dunk on the women. They'll immediately shame them, make them feel terrible, embarrass them. And so there's no incentive for the women to actually be honest, because if you understand women at their core, it's really about managing reputation, and being embarrassed is not something that obviously they want because it's bad for long-term survival strategy. But when you can create an environment where they aren't afraid to tell you the truth, they will tell you the truth. And so I asked her, I was like, hey, can you expand on this? And she goes, well, I had just started dating this new guy, and we were having a conversation after like a week in, and there were two guys that I was still texting that I was kind of keeping around. And so the guy said, hey, what are you doing? We are dating now. We are together. And the first guy, obviously the guy's first mistake is that he didn't draw those boundaries before he gave away his commitment, but that's neither here nor there. But he goes, well, we're dating now and you can't be texting other guys. And she kind of was making an excuse. She's just like, well, like, it's only been a week since we started dating. I just haven't had time to cut these guys off, XYZ, ABC. And she was kind of telling the guy why she should be able to continue talking to these other men. And eventually the guy caved, and the guy said, okay, I guess it's fine. And then she turned around and told me, she goes, and I immediately lost respect and I immediately lost attraction, that I ultimately had to get rid of him. Even though if he had stood on his convictions and if he had lived and died by those boundaries, I didn't want to lose him. And I probably most likely would have cut those guys off. And her final sort of cherry on top was that whole exchange made me think that I can manipulate this man, and I need a guy that I can't do that to and is going to tell me no and essentially put me in my place. And so when people say that we're nuts for this kind of stuff and we talk about it, when you give women the opportunity to be honest, they will tell you the truth. Because that's we're not judging them for that. We're like, yeah, I get it. Thank you for telling the truth about how you see it. So anyway, what's your take on that?
Yeah, man, this is like how I operate in a way is like the way that I view a woman as a good asset to my life, as a good addition, is I will try to tell her no on as many things as possible, even things that I don't really care. Like, I'll just see if she'll agree to it, right?
Yeah.
And like the woman that will at least agree to, even before you go down that road with some of these things, anyways, that she's at least open to it, and she's not gonna be like, I don't like this about you, TC. I need this to change, or I'm not gonna be with you. The one that will just say yes, every single time, will just be fine every time I tell her no. That's like the one thing I'm looking for in a woman. Is like, I cannot have, yeah, I feel this way about how we're going to raise our children. Like, I'm convinced of it today, and in 5 years, I feel a different way. So it's like, I need to see if she will conform to me completely. Otherwise, I'm not I'm not going down the family law court with this woman,
Yeah, and I think that's
Potentially, at least.
well, totally. And I think that's the additional piece that we need to add on, like this addendum where it's like, if you draw your boundaries and you say no, you need to cut off these guys, and you can say it how you want. Like, again, let's just assume we're past the point of obviously how you would do this is, hey, she goes, I think we should be together, and you go, cool. I don't date girls that talk to other guys. All those, like, if we're gonna be together, like, all those guys got to go, like, right now before I say yes. And then she has a decision to make. But let's just fast forward, and at that point, he goes, yeah, you can't be talking to other guys. And I don't know why men are so afraid of this. I think the men are afraid of being called names by women. They're afraid of being called insecure or controlling or all of these things. And I like, oh, I don't want her to think I'm this. I don't want her to think I'm controlling or insecure, because then she won't like me. And it's like, actually, it's the opposite. But he has every right to say in that moment, he's like, we are fucking dating. You cut these guys off. Like, that, it's not even a discussion. Like, delete their numbers right now and block them. But the fact, what he should have done, the fact that she was even arguing, he probably should just got up from the table and walked away. Like, he shouldn't have even entertained. He's like, wait, are we even arguing about this right now? Are you actually trying to make an argument that you should still be able to text other men when we're together? But the point is, she didn't want to lose this guy. Now, if he had said that and he says, no, I'm walking away from this table if you don't do it right now and we're done, she has two options. She can either say okay and do it, or she can just say, no, I'm not going to do it. And if you leave, that's fine. And so I think that's sometimes what guys will get wrong about boundaries. It's like, if the woman that you're with or that you're trying to get to obey the boundaries or operate within your parameters doesn't see you as that guy, or your value is not high enough, she just doesn't care. And she's going to let you walk. And I think maybe that's it. Guys are afraid to draw those boundaries because they're afraid that they're not that guy. And she's actually going to say, yeah, dude, totally. See ya. Take it or leave it. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting what you said. Like, guys are afraid of getting called insecure or controlling or an asshole or whatever. I think a guy will only get called these things by a woman that's not that into him. And this kind of ties back into what I last said is, I'm going to try my hardest to get a woman to call me an asshole, insecure, controlling, anything possible, a misogynist, whatever it is. I'm going to try my hardest to see if she will call me those things. And the one that won't, that's the one I'm going to invest in.
So how early on is that? I mean, you're doing this off the bat. Like, are you trying to build this up? Like, you're just like off rip, like, all right, let me see what buttons I can push.
Well, it kind of all ties together, with the framework and a lot of other stuff I talk about in my private calls with Like if you're using dating apps, you should be opening in a playful way, and the kind of like Goldilocks zone of this is so playful that she will only tolerate that level of playfulness from a guy she's really attracted to. So like you should be pushing the envelope to see if they will reject you basically every step along the way as you push to escalate. Like, you're a match on a dating app, now you've got her number, now you've got a date lined up, now you're in person, now you're going to seal the deal. Like this whole thing along the way, you need to push the envelope a little bit as a man, because that's how you're going to get rid of all these fucking low interest time wasters. All the women that are going to be the most likely to be trying to me too you, have some regret afterwards. Like this is how you get rid of all of these chicks that, for you suck. Now maybe there's another guy that they're more attracted to than you that they're going to be great for, but you need to pretend that you are Tyrone, and you need to act accordingly. And would she act like this in reaction to me saying this to Tyrone? Yes or no? If the answer is no, I'm not going to keep talking to this chick. So like men are like afraid of rejection, obviously. Men are afraid of a lot, of trying new things, of, getting up and moving across the country, and, a lot of the stuff that like a Misogi challenge or coming of age that adolescent boys used to do back in the day, that gave you confidence in yourself and your ability to, be thrown into the fire. Like this all just kind of resonates, and guys are like, oh, I don't want to say something too crazy. What if she's not down for it? Great, you found out in message 3 instead of after 3 dates. And three dates is not like, guys are always like, oh, I don't want to buy her dinner. I'm like, who cares about the fucking dinner? This is like 2 or 3 hours of your time potentially. Talking to her, matching, getting her number, getting her in person, actually going on the date. If you're worried about $60 instead of 3 hours of time, like you're playing the wrong game.
Yeah, it's backwards.
So yeah, guys need to really push the envelope. And kind of how I explain it to some of the guys that I'm coaching is, like, if you're a salesman, you're knocking on the door, they crack the door, jam your fucking foot in it, right? And see if they call the police on you for doing it, or if they'll give you a chance and will listen, and then you can kind of go from there, right? So you need to be a bit aggressive. And obviously I'm not saying to do things aggressively to women that don't want you to. But if you're like, how was your day? You need to say some explicit and playful, not too explicit, obviously on the apps you're going to get banned, but you need to be a little bit different than the average guy in the app. You need to instill in a woman's mind, who the fuck is this guy? If you can do that and you can be fun with it, that's like how you're going to see if they're attracted, they're going to respond very well to that.
Yeah, essentially we're talking about is polarization. Like you want to get to a yes or no as fast as humanly possible. Like you like that little area of we're not sure if it's a yes or no, like it's kind of a maybe. It's where you go to die like a slow, painful death. I totally agree and co-sign on all of this, but what I'm trying to navigate my way through now is like, so for the first time, I'm dealing with guys who have to kind of be unplugged as we go along. Like a lot of these guys haven't been zeroed out. Some of them have, but a lot of these guys have just done like the nice guy thing for so long, or they just have not gotten the results, and it's rinse repeat. Their same old story repeats itself over and over. And so I kind of look at it like, if you're a personal trainer and you've got a client who is very overweight, for example, you kind of know what they need to do to get in shape and get healthy. And it's like, okay, you're going to eat these square meals. You're going to eat, even the stuff that I had to do on my new regimen. It's like, you're going to eat ground beef 7 times. You're going to eat the same meal every single day. Like your dinner is this, your lunch is this, your breakfast is this, like rinse and repeat. And that's not that bad because I've done that so many times in other areas. But you take someone who's been eating junk food and like drinking or eating ice cream every night, and who's just like a complete fat fuck who doesn't live in the gym, and you're like, hey, you need to work out 5 times a week. You need to eat chicken, rice, broccoli. You need to do 30 minutes of, treadmill 3 times a week. No more ice cream, no more sweets. You need to cut that shit out cold. It's such a drastic change, and it's such a radical 180 that it's insurmountable. It scares them complete to death. So it's like what you do with those guys, you say, hey, man, just get 10,000 steps a day and cut out full sugar sodas. That will get you started. That's like a one thing that you can do, right? Like just go on a walk. You don't have to go and like bench a whole bunch of weight, do all this kind of stuff, whatever it might be. So like that's the part that I'm trying to figure out. Is like, how can I split the difference if I'm versus telling a guy who's opener on a dating app is usually like, hey, like, how are you today? How's it going? That's on one side of the spectrum. And on the other side of the spectrum, it's like, hey, woman, like that's the other one, right? Like, or whatever. Where's that sort of middle ground? Like, how do we like get these guys to kind of wake up as they go and not just get so discouraged that they just give up? Like that's what I rack my brain about currently.
Yeah, I've had 2 types of clients in this regard. Like it's like this is kind of like text game, but it applies a little bit like to cold approach. But I've had 2 types of clients. So one type is they actually don't have a problem being really playful and a little bit naughty with women they're already fucking. So like, and this kind of applies to cold approach too. So those guys, I'll be like, send me some like screenshots of a chick that you are hooking up with or were hooking up with, the text messages, like how you would be playful when you guys couldn't see each other for a week, right? And if they're doing a good job with that, I'm like, okay, perfect. Like you need this energy with the woman you haven't gotten in bed yet. That's going to totally solve this problem. And this kind of works with cold approach is almost every guy that has like enough reps with women to like be playing the game, let's say, has had one woman that they were with that was like usually BPD and just a total freak in the bedroom. So I tell guys that are cold approaching, pretend like just you have to convince yourself that this woman you're approaching is that girl instead, right? And talk to her like you would that girl. And that totally like fixes all this being really weird and gay cold approaching stuff. And you can do it with texting too. The second type of client that I've had is guys that like have no concept of how to be like playful and seductive and flirty and whatever you want to call it, a little bit naughty when they're texting. So for those ones, the exercise I would have them do is a lot of them had like an old reliable or 2, or like just some woman that's like, they dated for 3 years. This woman went looking for something more serious. Every 6 months or a year when she's out of a relationship, she'll hit up, this guy that I'm working with for a good time. So I'll make them practice with those women. And I'll be like, send her this. And she's going to reply like this, send her something like this. I kind of give them like a little roadmap. This is the line I want you to go down with the conversation. And I tell them the goal is, and I'm going to say Bob, and this is not a client's name, but the goal is to make this woman say to you, who are you and what have you done with Bob? And if you can do that, then you're like moving in the right direction with being naughty, so to speak. And that's kind of what you want out of like the women that you're seeing for the first time or talking for the first time. They don't know that you are or were a dork. So instead of who are you and what have you done with Bob, it's just going to be who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, it's a huge hump for a lot of guys to get over because it's a radical change of their entire identity. A lot of this is rooted in nice guy behaviors and all that kind of stuff. And I've suggested No More Mr. Nice Guy. I actually did a presentation on it last week, and then I did another follow-up video, and then I suggested that everybody that I work with read that book because that's kind of like, it's not really red pill or it's not super unplugged. It's kind of like unplugged light, right? I mean, that could work for, it's a good introduction into this kind of world about reclaiming your balls. Yeah. It's not, it's a little less jarring than I'd say as good as The Rational Male is, like I think that is really just like, oh my god, you're just discovering an entire world that you just didn't know existed. So, yeah, that's good stuff, man. Question from Amaran. Question to TCB saying, I read an article that discussed to save time by talking about deal breakers in a non-judgmental sooner to save time. What do you gentlemen think about that? Yeah, I mean, I think like people are pretty dumb when it comes to their deal breakers. They don't actually know. I think a lot of. What I mean by that is this. I think a lot of people have not sat down and actually thought about what a deal breaker is versus what a preference is. And I also think that guys talk a lot of shit and say XYZ might be a deal breaker. And then when a chick that shows them enough attention or is hot enough comes along, he just breaks all of his rules for her. So like it's fine. There's really no point for a guy. There's really no here's what I think. I don't think there's really a point to talk about deal breakers until the idea of being serious or commitment is floating. Granted, you're the kind of guy that can escalate and build sexual tension, and you are getting laid, hopefully, at least a few times before, because otherwise, like, she's not going to approach you for, a relationship, and I don't think. So, I don't know. To me, it's more you show what your deal breakers are, or like what you are and you're not willing to tolerate by the behaviors that you allow, but you shouldn't be thinking about on a first date and early, drawing those boundaries. I think you should just be worried. You should be more worried about having fun and then figuring out, because her boundaries means nothing. Like her deal breakers ultimately mean nothing, because women will break any boundary they have and any deal breaker they have for the right guy. It just doesn't matter, right? She might say like, oh, I'm not into Trump supporters, but this guy comes along who is just the cream of the crop, top 0.1% guy. He's like, yeah, I voted for Trump, and he owns it. And she's like, well, if the best guy that I've ever seen and that could possibly conceive is a Trump supporter, then he probably knows something that I don't. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, you got to where I was going, or what I was thinking is, like a woman will, if a woman, now like a woman that's hit the wall and is looking for like, Mr. Safe, then you can talk about deal breakers and stuff, because she's not going to conform to Mr. Safe. Right. But like a woman that's looking for a guy that she's actually going to conform to, like she's still able to lock down her hypergamous best because she hasn't, been ran through by a bunch of dudes that obviously would never commit to her, and now she's older. Like this woman is just going to conform to the man that's attractive enough, and whatever deal breaker she might think she has, she's going to use them as blindfolds. For sure. Like, when women meet a really attractive man, all of his red flags just go straight over her eyes, and she walks in, straight head first into it. And then similarly for men, like there's some men, like once a man has enough optionality, like once a man doesn't really have time for more women that he's already got in rotation, then he can kind of start leaning into like what his deal breakers are earlier on. But for most men, like 80-90% of men, they're going to throw all their deal breakers in the garbage too to get laid. So they're going to be like, well, I don't care if she wants kids and I don't. Maybe she's open for something casual. And if he's attractive enough, that woman is going to be into something casual with him. So the deal breakers are like, whatever. Now, in a perfect world, and this, I get where this question comes from. This question comes from like the very loving, caring, oftentimes very liberal, like Western suburban woman mindset, right? Which is the same reason it's like, yes, let's open the borders. We need to help these people. It's the same thing with, wouldn't it be nice if everyone just talked about their deal breakers before the first date, right? Same thing. It's like, wouldn't it be nice if men didn't just swipe right on every woman on the app? But that's their most effective strategy. That is the most effective strategy for men on the apps. So it's like, wouldn't it be nice if, women didn't do this, men didn't do this. It's like, yeah, it would be great, but unfortunately, like
We live in reality.
we live in a world where there are motivations for these things that we're not going to be able to wave away with a magic wand.
Yeah, I think it's a good answer. Yeah, it's not a bad question, but people do tend to concern themselves with how things should be far more than they concern themselves with how things actually are, which is just a waste of time and it's just a waste of energy. And so, but that's the difference between guys that figure this stuff out and guys that won't. And same thing for women. And this is something, because I've been answering a lot of women's questions too, and we get into arguments about like the double standard thing always comes up. Like texting is a big one where I'm like, hey guys, like mirror her texts. Like if she's not responding for a few hours or even a few days, then you don't respond for a few hours or maybe even a few days. But women, if you really like a guy, you should be responding quickly because men see that as a high indicator of interest and they go, oh no, like, why do I have to respond really fast? You're putting the burden on women. And it's like, that's not fair. And it's like, look, until both sides, men and women, can get rid of this dopey, childish notion that anything in life is fair, much less romance and dating and attraction, which we even know historically by looking at like gene data has not been fair. When you think about the number of men that have reproduced versus the number of women, you're going to be you're in for a really bad time. All of these words like deserve and they owe it to me and I should be able to get this. The people that think like that on both sides, men and women, are really fucked. Like they're just doomed. And so I'm interested to see how my coaching style or the things that I will say to women is receptive or how it's received by them. But yeah, the whole notion of like things should be fair. It's like, when have they ever been fair? And where did this come from? And how did we get here?
Well, and for me in my life, I'm a firm believer in shoot 2 to 3 points down. I think like most guys, this would solve all their fucking problems with women, but it's very difficult. It's basically telling men like, if like the level of like the top 20% of the women you sleep with, if that's a 7, like you need to date 4s and 5s. That's who you're going to get like good behavior from and that are actually going to care about you and treat you well. And it's really hard for guys like to break that porn brain and be like, if you want to get exercise, go get exercise, but like this woman's actually really fantastic, even though she's maybe not the most attractive woman that you've ever been with. Obviously, this satisfies what women are looking for quite well. But, all of these, and I've had this with coaching clients where they're a lot of times more seasoned guys, and like all of these rules and games that I'm asking them to play, that they do need to play, if they're just able to shoot 2 to 3 points down, like a lot of times they don't have to play as many of those games. Like the women that are in my life, I'm not thinking about like 2/3 rule in communication. I send them whatever the hell I want. And then like, if they're not replying in the way that I would like, I just tell them like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're not doing anything. I asked you something. You need to let me know. And if something's going on that is like a problem and you're in your head about some shit, you need to tell me that as well. If you're not replying because, you're butthurt about something, you must tell me. And then they just do it, because they want me, because I'm shooting 2 or 3 points down, like I'm their hypergamous best. Right. So it's like, as a man, there's 2 options. You can play these fucking games, and date women that you're like more, that gets you a little more excited, or you can date amazing women that aren't as attractive as some of the other ones you've been with, or the most attractive ones you can be with, and you can play less fucking games. This is like ties into my, I guess my like Christian mindset a bit, which is like, a man must suppress the porn brain, otherwise he's gonna have problems.
Yeah, you know what? That's something interesting that I've been thinking about, and I've actually been having a couple of conversations about, was the reason guys like hot women. Like obviously there is the, the natalism aspect of it, good, healthy offspring and things like that. But having a hot woman on your arm is also a status symbol, and it signals high status to other men, which in turn like compounds on itself. And if other men view you in high status, and like women will as well. But there's a lot of men out there that would rather have like a hot woman on his arm walking the red carpet who doesn't fuck him and treats him like shit behind closed doors than a woman who is, you know, a 4 or 5 or very average that doesn't turn any heads, that literally like worships the ground that he walks on. And so it's like one of the and like I've brought your name up a few times, and it's like one of the things I've always respected and I still continue to respect about you is like you are one of the few people that I know on this planet who lives his life literally the exact way that he wants to, doesn't kowtow to what anybody says or what anybody thinks. You know how to play the game, but that's because you understand the bigger picture. And there's people out there that are living like horrible lives just because of like the status symbol or the way it makes them perceived. And it's kind of the idea of, shouldn't we be celebrating men, and shouldn't it be a higher status symbol for a guy being completely free and doing exactly what he wants, when so many men out there are just slaves? But cool, he's got a hot wife or he's got a hot chick, but she runs his show. So like, I don't know. I wonder how much of that is like still caveman brain and the versus, but we know that guy is not getting her best. We know that guy is not on the same level as her, and he is like fighting for his life every day when it comes to, you know, keeping her around, versus a guy that does whatever he wants and she worships him anyway.
Yeah, for the guys watching that have women that irritate them and stress them out, just imagine you could be driving up north to your summer house and look to your right and ask your girl,
with your butterface,
what do you want to do tonight? And for her to say, why don't we go to a bar and try to pull a chick together? And for you to tell her, maybe next weekend. You could have that. You got to shoot 2 points down. And guys don't realize it until they actually find a really good woman who is really, really on their program. Because part of like a really good woman that's gonna be really on a guy's program is that she is gonna fuck you so enthusiastically, you're gonna be like, leave me the fuck alone. She's just gonna be jumping you constantly, and that's evolutionary. Like, she knows, if I don't, you know, please this man, then I will die. It's basically what the lizard brain's telling her. And like, when you have this in a woman, when you're not like irritated, you know, like you're not getting blue balls from her, you're not coming home and she's irritated about stupid shit, like everything's awesome all the time, and all she wants to do whenever she's with you is put her hands on you and jump on you. Like especially the unique characteristics about her, like, will start to become like endearing almost. So if she's got like a big forehead or big ears or a big nose or a little nose or whatever, like weird toes, whatever it is, right? Like on Twitter, you know, hip dips.
That's the new thing.
Have been trendy, man. I'm like, it's so gay and stupid on Twitter. But like all of these things that are often that woman's insecurities, because they are like a unique characteristic about this woman, like, because it's a unique characteristic about this woman, and because this woman treats you like almost no other women treat you, you start associating the way that she treats you with those unique characteristics she has, and she will become more attractive in your eyes. And then at the same time, so she will become more attractive in your eyes, and this will work in the negative as well, where like a woman that has a big nose, if she gets bitchier and bitchier and bitchier and bitchier every year to you, you're going to be like, shut up, I don't want to see you in that big ass nose bitching at me. Like, you're going to hate how her nose looks. Like, she is going to start to look to you like a political cartoon with a huge nose. And so I lost where I was going with the second part of that now. Before I got into the big nose thing.
About she won't leave you alone.
Oh,
GBD.
so like she will become more attractive to you, especially her unique characteristics. And at the same time, because she is on your program, whatever suggestions you make to her about how she looks, how she dresses, how she does her makeup, how she does her hair, how long she keeps her hair, whatever you suggest to her, hey, I think this would look good. You tell her, whatever you want to suggest in the bedroom as well, she's going to be all for all of it. And she's going to become more attractive. Like a woman that's really into you, you tell her, like, I love you. Everything about you is great. Like, you're such a great woman. But, I do also really love blondes. She's going to hop straight in the car, go to the wig store, and come home with 5 different blonde wigs and maybe a couple costumes.
See which one you like.
And so, like, all of this stuff is going to make this woman that originally, like, initially, maybe wasn't exactly your type, but she's an amazing woman. And because you shot down a little bit, in SMV, she's qualifying to you constantly, and she is going to become more and more attractive. And it's like the way she makes you feel is going to make you think like she's going to appear more attractive because she just makes you feel awesome all the time. And then she's also going to change things about herself, at your request, from your leadership and guidance that will also make her more attractive.
Yeah, I want to read this thing on Twitter that I saved today, which goes into what like genuine burning desire looks like. It's not super long, but I'll read it. I'm not going to put it on screen. But before I get to that, I really like this, what we're talking about in terms of like guys have 2 options. And I think the reason that the vast majority of guys are not willing to shoot down is because they are painfully average. Most guys are 5s, right? So they're not willing. Most guys are in the no man's land of the women that I like don't like me, and the women that like me, I don't like. And you have essentially 2 options. You can play the game, right? And you can do all these things and the gimmicks and the text games and all this, and you can really have to work hard and play that aspect of it. Or you can build yourself up to the point where when you're shooting down 2 points, you actually are attracted to the girl that you're shooting down to. Those are your only real 2 options. So I like that. I like that a lot. But I think a lot of guys are going to have a real problem with that, which is okay. But what else? What other choice you got? Like, you can just stay where you're at and keep getting shittier results or non-results in general. So this will take me like 30 seconds or maybe a minute to read, but men do not understand the magnitude of attraction a woman who loves them can feel towards them. They underestimate what their presence in this universe does to her body. She can lose her mind from the mere thought of him touching her. It becomes consuming. All she can think about is touching this beautiful creature, this man she sees as both the most ruthless monster and the most tender thing alive. She looks at him and sees the boy and the beast in him, and the man who will go out into the world and conquer it. The structure of his chest, lips, face, hair, hands, throat, every single part of him begins to feel impossibly perfect. The man you love starts looking like a masterpiece. You want to grab him, kiss him, hold him, crawl into his skin, become softer than you have ever allowed yourself to be, and give him everything your body has been saving. A woman in love wants to devote herself to him. She wants to pour her life force into him, make a world with him, become the place he returns to, the warmth he rests inside, the woman who belongs to him because she chose him with every part of herself. He becomes the center of her universe. The attraction is so strong it feels gravitational, as if his existence bends the space around her and he becomes the sun. Even the thought of him whispering into her ear sends currents down her spine, and her legs weaken, body forgets its own rules. Around him, shame begins to dissolve because desire becomes stronger than restraint. You cannot stop yourself from touching him. You go beyond all of your rules of composure, modesty, and self-control. He makes you lose the shame you thought was hard to break. The desire becomes so intense that your mind fills with the most feral, beautiful thoughts, and all you want is to make him yours, be his, carry his children into the world, and belong to the man your entire body has already recognized. Pretty damn good. Yeah, that sums it up pretty well, I think.
You gotta send that to me. I gotta send that to one of my chicks and be like, "Is this your burner account?"
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
But yeah, that's like, as a man, there's so much vitriol from men towards women, especially online, and I get it. But as a man, you could have a woman that feels like what Moth just read. You could have it.
Yep.
And yeah, I totally. It's been a while since I've like talked to or like worked with a client that was in like that 4 or 5 points as a man SMV. So I kind of forgot to add that also, that if you are just an average dude, your 2 or 3 points down is going to be a hog. So like you're going to need, but I even tell those guys, like the only issue there is that like your parts don't work right. Right? Like you just can't get aroused. So I'll even tell, like when I was coaching some guys that were like 4s and 5s that were trying to level up, I would tell them like, go get a Blue Chew and just do the deed, because just hang out with her, have a good time, tell her you're not looking for something serious pretty early on, like, you know, even before the first time you guys hop in bed, so that you're not like stringing this girl along, right? And just have casual fun with her. If your manhood doesn't work because she's a hog, get some supplements to help with that problem in the bedroom, because then these guys will see that this chick treats him right. Right? So then I'm like, now, as you level up, remember her. Remember that Torta from 3 summers ago, man. Remember how she was treating you. Don't get serious with a woman that's treating you less good than that.
Because how do you go back? Like once I think a lot of that is guys just don't know that exists. And part of that is the stuff we see in our mainstream, and it's just all of their buddies and their stories about their wives, like getting fat and being annoying. And it's just like, yeah, man, that's just marriage. And like her. And these like dumb, like Elmer Fudd dudes that are just like, oh yeah, the old ball and chain. And so they think that's the reality. And it's like, dude, no, you don't. It's like you guys don't understand. You can't possibly fathom how good it could possibly be. You absolutely can have a woman do everything you've ever wanted a woman to do. It's possible. You can have it, but it's fully up to you. And it's just guys that are afraid of doing the work. They're afraid of the judgment. I mean, there's a lot of it, but it's one of those things where, you know, I said one time, and it's like somebody asked me, it's like, well, you know, in your opinion, what makes a woman good at sex? And the only answer is enthusiasm. There's really only so many things that, like, as far as feeling goes, or as far as stimulation, you know, it all pretty much is, it's all pretty similar. Like if whoever, like somebody touches me on the arm, regardless if they're hot or not, like the sensation of touch feels the fucking same. But it's the difference when a woman grabs your arm and she looks into your eyes and she's like, I want to take me home literally right now, versus like a girl that's just like, eh. So that's the big difference. And I think it's like, man, you can have it. You can actually have this, but you won't let yourself have it because you're afraid, or because it's just, you won't pony up. And it's like, you're afraid of a woman like blowing your mind in the bedroom because she's got a couple extra pounds on her, or you're just not super attracted to her. And so maybe that's it. Maybe you just got to get over that hump, because fuck, man, it's just, I do see it though. Like I do see guys who were just like, look, like there are women out there, and these are maybe more seasoned guys. These aren't guys that are just starting out, because there are guys out there that are like, yeah, she's great. She literally does everything I ask. She follows me around, but I'm just not sexually attracted to her. And I think I can do better. So it's like, okay, that's fine, as long as you're willing to continue ascending and doing the work. But if you're just staying where you're at, it's like, maybe she's the best that you're going to get. Like, if you're not willing to continue investing in yourself and leveling up, like, why would you be getting better results?
Well, and a lot of these guys, you know, I talked about pushing the envelope and like seeing if you can get a no. Even like exploring how she reacts to things that you're not, like, you don't even want to do. You're like, I don't even want to do this, but like, if she would let me, man, does that mean she's into me? Just seeing like her reaction. A lot of guys haven't gone down that route. So they're like, yeah, you know, I got this girl, it's just casual, you know, and a lot of times it'll be, she's got a bunch of red flags. And like there are some red flags you can unwind and some that you can't. Um, so like I get that aspect of it, but it's like if a man is with a woman and he's like, yeah, just not really. Have you asked her to go pull a woman for the two of you? If the answer is no, you don't know if you're into this woman or not yet, because you haven't gotten a yes or no on the things that like a woman who's really really into you is going to cave on just for you. So like these guys just need to ask for more. Ask for more.
What did you say? You're like,
Me.
you're not mad enough. Like you're not annoyed enough about the state of the world or the state that you're in. Like while you're jumping through hoops and that you're vying for breadcrumbs and a little modicum of her attention, she's obsessed with a guy who already forgot her name and deleted her number and won't respond to her text messages.
Yeah,
And
like
you're
I mean,
afraid of asking for more.
I mean, there's guys out there that their wife got tired of their bullshit, of their not being a man and not leading and not being aggressive and um, a sex icon for them, whatever you want to call that, right? Like not being exciting and sexually. That took the kids, moved back in with their fucking parents, got on the dating apps, met me, and picked up chicks for me and her to share. Then realized, yeah, maybe this fantasy is not something that's going to actually work out, and went back to their fucking husband. So, like, guys don't realize this is how women work. And, like, you can't be, when you tell your chick, like, hey, I don't like it when you do this. If they're not like, oh, I'm so sorry, just send her the other way, right? And you can still have something casual with her. Tell her like, yeah, I don't think I really want something serious, but we can keep doing what we're doing now if you want to. Like, we'll have fun. But man, like, it should get you angry because there is a dude out there that she will break every fucking rule in the book for. And she will do it enthusiastically. She won't be like, I really like this guy,
Yeah, it
but
won't be begrudgingly.
yeah, she's
she
not
won't
going to be like, I really like this
apologetic.
guy, but he wants to, he wants to see other women. He wants to bring other women into the bedroom with us. She'll be like, oh my God, I never knew I was actually so into this. Maybe I'm bisexual.
Yeah.
So, yeah, guys just
It's a
aren't
hard pill
mad
to
enough.
swallow, man.
And
It's a hard
as
pill for
soon
them to
as
swallow.
as soon as a guy can see like the reality of human nature, right? Like men and women have very different natures, but we both have a nature. As soon as guys can see the reality of female nature, then they can be like, all right, like who fucking cares what this chick thinks, man?
Well, that's the rub too, man, because it's hard for me to give advice to a lot of guys that have not yet seen it. It's one of those things where you still have to kind of see it for yourself. If you're telling me that like dragons are real and like every night they fly around like this area or just some other thing, it's like, yeah, dude, I'm not going to believe that until I see it. But then if I see it, it's like, am I going to believe it? Am I going to be so, will I go into the rage phase? Will I be so annoyed or angry or have the feeling of betrayal or not being able to forgive myself for my own ignorance? Will I actually be able to transcend it? So it's like, that's where I find myself right now. It's like, can I guide these guys and get them to see female nature without them getting completely zeroed out and just hitting rock bottom? I don't know. But, there are guys out there that I work with that have been zeroed out and they're just like, yeah, this woman XYZ ABC and this happened and that happened. And, got over it, not building myself back up. But they're usually guys that have already built something. They're like high level entrepreneurs, or there's some guys that have just, built they're high performers. So they understand how to build. But some of the other guys, it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just, maybe you're just the kid that I have to let touch the stovetop when it's hot instead of telling you not to touch it.
There was a guy on who's in the space on Twitter who recently said that one of the big problems men have with women is that men in modernity vastly underestimate what women are capable of.
Yeah.
And I kind of disagree with that. And I think like the problem that men have nowadays is they vastly overestimate what women are capable of. And like they think women are much more like themselves, like men, than they are. And it like what most guys do is like they give a fucking chimp a machine gun and then like they wonder why this has gone wrong, right? So like when the woman with the guy friends is like, you know, like allowing a woman that you want to take serious and start a family with and raise children with and have those children turn out to be good functioning members of society, allowing her as the man, as the one that's supposed to be leading and guiding her, to have guy friends is literally giving a chimp a fucking machine gun. So when a woman is like, when you're like, no, I'm not giving you this machine gun, and she's like trying to grab it from you, you need to get the fuck away from it because it's a chimp with a fucking machine gun.
Well, right? Explain the analogy. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, it's like they have okay, they're going to cause their own destruction? Like, they're going to shoot themselves in the head?
Like, they're going to
shoot the foot off?
Death and destruction all around them.
God, okay. Yeah.
So, like, men need to remember, and we're so far from understanding of our nature nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, men need to remember our nature, and our nature can be an amazing thing. Like, men will sacrifice and suffer for women and for the children they have with them, for their families, immensely. And that's how we've gotten to where we are. But that didn't happen by men letting women do whatever the fuck they wanted, right? Like, right. That leads to chaos. You know, a man, this whole idea, this biblical idea even of one flesh, right? Like, if you're running as a man, you're trying to run and your fucking leg is broken, but the leg is telling you it's not fucking broken, and so now you're thinking something else is wrong with your leg, like, you're not going to be able to function. So, like, women really are, like, part of, like, they need to become part of the man, right? And as soon as she's like, oh no, like, I think it's no problem, like, I can have guy friends, it's like, see you later.
Bye.
Because I'm not going to try to run this fucking marathon with a broken leg that's telling me, like, it's just a fungal itch or something, right? Like, no, thank you.
Right. Yeah, you're pissing on my head and essentially telling me it's rain.
But then
the question here, like, oh yeah, go ahead, finish that.
So
point.
We also have like what Amaran said before, which was, you know, and this is not shots fired at her. I think this is a very beautiful thing about the feminine and about female nature is, like, women, like, they're very protected, and like they're allowed to be the dreamers, they're allowed to be the hopers. You know, like, they are the thing that should keep us all fucking sane, because, like, they will try to make things equal and make sure everyone's happy and make sure everyone's taken care of and that no one's left behind. You know, they'll try to make sure that, you know, the one kid doesn't take all the toys from the other kids. Like, that energy that they bring, like, that assumption of innocence that they have and of good intentions they have of people is a beautiful thing. It makes this very sometimes bleak reality manageable, and men feel this. Like, men feel the feminine energy, especially when they're with a woman that's giving them kind of that demure and also like that long leash to do as he sees fit. So, like, there's beautiful things about feminine energy too. Like, we would just be in the woods seeing who can take the longest shit until we all die of old age. If we didn't have women, there'd be no fucking houses, no fucking air conditioning.
Yeah, why would we? There'd be no reason
flights to Cabo, no sipping margaritas on the beach. There'd be none of that, because we would be like, damn, all of this sucks.
Sounds like a lot of work.
This
and
all
it's not even fucking
ass.
fun. Yeah, this isn't even cool, and it's a lot of work. Yeah, it's like, dude, fucking spot on. Well, speaking of Emma Ray, let's maybe ask this last question. We'll start wrapping up. Are the chances or probability of finding a woman who doesn't have male friends and doesn't entertain exes less now than women who entertain? Is it less? Oh, is it percentage wise? Are there more women that entertain exes and male friends than don't? Probably, But I think that's just a sign of the times. And I think that also has to do with the world we live in now and like the globalization of the sexual marketplace. Like 50 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, like you didn't have Instagram, you didn't have social media, you didn't have the ability to be connected to millions of people simultaneously. I remember when my parents discovered Facebook and they're like, oh my God, I haven't talked to so and so in 30 years. Now all of a sudden they can get in touch with old friends or family without having to travel to go see them and things like that. So it's already way easier to keep in contact with old social folks and especially past boyfriends and things like that. So now, that being said, I don't care if it's easier or if there's more women that are going to do it because my standards and my boundaries remain the same regardless. I don't care if it's the norm. I don't care if everybody else is doing it. I don't care if all of her girlfriends are still in touch with their ex-boyfriends and have guy friends. I don't give a shit about that at all. Well, I do in a way because I would want to remove her from that situation, but my boundaries are going to be what they are, and I'm going to understand what is going to be good for the relationship regardless of what the social norms are. And I think that's what we talk about a lot is you just mentioned we've gotten so far away from our natural instincts and the things that have always made relationships work and that have moved men and women as a unit together forward. We're now regressing because we are just allowing these new things like, oh, well, it's normal. It's like, yeah, but that doesn't mean it's good. Just because it's very common doesn't mean it's good. It doesn't mean it's going to give us good results. It's quite the opposite, actually.
Yeah, and it just comes from like we have a generation or two or three of like functionally fatherless women, and like not actually necessarily fatherless women, but women that were not raised like under the leadership and guidance of their father, and like their mothers, being in submission to their fathers, their husbands. And 99.99% of interactions between a man that's not related to a woman and that woman is the man trying to see if he can have sex with that woman. So like unless it's for work, and even in the workplace it's rampant as well, right? Like unless like there's almost no motivation. Like a man's not going to reach out to a woman or try to go talk to a woman unless he's trying to have sex with her. So just the idea that it's basically like this, like if a woman is approached, sent a message on Instagram, approached at the grocery store, whatever it is, like she works somewhere and a guy's like, oh, let me get your Snapchat, we should hang out sometime and smoke, whatever it might be, right? Like this guy wants to have sex with her. And women nowadays, because like a lot of women think men and women are the same. This is like what feminism is, right? Is the idea that men and women are the same or equal. Women don't understand this, right? Whereas like a woman might hit up a man, oh, hey, do you want to hang out sometime? And just want to have like a friend, right? Like she can want to have a conversation with a man and have no intention of trying to have sex with a man. But like the way that men interact with women is not the same. So what I would tell women is, if a man is trying to interact with you who's not a family member, like the only reason you should interact back is if you're interested in having children with him. That's it. So if that's the case, and you have a man, you have a boyfriend, whatever, husband, and another man's trying to interact with you and be friends with you, you just ask yourself the question, are you trying to have children with this man? And if you say yes, like we have a big problem now, right? And if you say no, there's absolutely no reason to interact with this man then. Because that's what he wants. And maybe he doesn't want to have children and stick around and support you, and maybe he just wants to pump and dump you and leave you, with a child in tow with no help. But at the end of the day, that's what he wants. And the number one perpetrator of essays is he's just a friend.
Yeah.
So a vast majority of essays are a man that a woman knows. So it's like, why would you entertain the group of man that's most likely to do something to you that you don't want them to do non-consensually, when you could just not do it, right? And like what a lot of it comes down to is like it's very difficult for men and women, especially in modernity with the internet and technology and all this stuff. It's very difficult for men and women to like form and maintain friendships. Like this type of community that we used to have around us has basically disappeared. Like nobody knows their neighbors. Families are much smaller now, so you don't have that community around you. So like people are lonely and they want friends, right? And for a lot of women, you see this with women that grew up like tomboys and they had like all male friends growing up. Those women didn't learn how to like be a good person so that people want to be your friend, because they just had guys that would overlook all of their bad and bitchy behavior as their friends that were trying to fuck them. So you hear this from women. Oh, it's hard to be friends with women because and men are way easier to be friends with. And like, no, what it actually is that you are the fucking problem and you're not easy to be friends with, except for guys who will let you act like a bitch because they want to bang you. That's it. And like women used, and this is how women used to train like that social, like women should have a social edge over men. Women should be able to manipulate quite well compared to men. They should be able to understand social cues better than men. They should be able to like weasel their, you know, like we always had like this sisterhood and this henpecking order and stuff amongst women, and women have kind of lost that because like it takes a lot of developing your social skills as a woman to fit into these hierarchies of women. And that's like the women that have all the guy friends, they're just fucked in a room full of women. Like those women are like, who is this fucking sloozy? Right? Because they see, oh, she has no personality. She doesn't understand how to be demure. She doesn't understand, you know, like how to engage with other women because she's just been spreading her legs for men that let her do whatever she wants and tell her whatever she wants to hear.
Yeah, and part of that is certainly at least the willful ignorance to guys only wanting to be around you and be your friend because they want to sleep with you. I understand why that's an issue because a lot of women now are spending their time going to school, getting degrees, learning skills, like doing this, building XYZ. And it's like I've done every episode of TFPOV is pretty much the same, where it's like I had to go do a lot of inner work and I had to find myself and I had to go and do this and all of that. And it's like men don't care about any of that shit. And it's hard for them to, because then they have to be faced with the reality that all of that was a complete, not only was all of that a complete waste of time for one, but two, they were duped and fooled and tricked, especially when they're the sex that's supposed to be better at picking up on those covert signals, and they're supposed to be far less able to be manipulated because they are supposed to recognize danger so they can get out of the way of it, where men are just like, oh, danger's here, okay, I guess we're going to fight. Women are like, oh, it's more like we see danger before it comes so we can get the hell out of Dodge. And so I get it. Like I have sympathy in that way. But it all comes and stems from a strong male figure that's just going to tell them the truth. And I mean, you get to a certain point where it's just, if women have built up enough equity in themselves, or they've done all of this work, or they've gotten all of these accolades, it's like a guy who becomes unplugged like too late in life, where he's spent 30 years married and he's realized the game he's been playing the entire time. He's been playing the game by a completely different set of rules that don't actually help him win. And then you hand him another rule book that's like, hey man, actually these are the rules. And so it's just like he can't deal with it. He can't, it either like completely blows his mind and he goes comatose, or he just rejects it outright and then just tries to brute his force, because those are the rules he knows, those are the rules he loves, and he will fight to the death to preserve those rules, because otherwise he's got to look at himself and say, I wasted my entire life playing the wrong rules to this game. So I get it, but it's kind of like once the genie is out of the bottle, it's not going back in.
Yeah, and a lot of it stems down to, and like I'm not going to try to get too political about this because we'll end up straight off the fucking platform, but we have all been convinced for a very long time that like the things that we should want, the things that like make us happy are something other than what they actually are. So like women are always seeking validation, right? And so like when women get attention from men on social media or whatever it is, like this makes them feel very good. And there's a reason for that. And it's because in the lizard brain, when a woman got attention and validation, especially from men, that meant she would survive because a man is going to take care of her. And that's a requirement for her to fucking survive. So like we've been convinced that, you know, like followers and material possessions and lifestyle and status and like this giant display on fucking Valentine's Day or whatever from your man, like that these are the things that signal a woman's value and are going to make her happy. And like actually none of this makes a woman happy. What makes a woman happy is having a bunch of children and not being forced to do things that men should be doing, like protecting and providing and leading and guiding. Like that's what actually makes women happy. And like there's a reason that single childless women are the number one users of SSRIs. It's because being single and childless is not what makes a woman happy. Now granted, there are some women that like things have happened to them throughout their lives where like a lot of it's like there's a mental malfunction going on, where like, yeah, maybe having kids is going to send them off the fucking deep end, right? You know, like women with BPD, like y'all should just be fucking single. It's going to be much better for everybody. Just go to therapy or something and be fucking single. Stop, you know, like they just destroy the lives of the people that they form relationships with until they can figure out their mental malfunction. But for the vast majority of women, like the things that basically all of the stuff that fathers used to protect their daughters from that men don't like when women they're dating do are these things that we've been convinced, like women have been convinced this will make me happy and that's fine, but it's actually not what's going on, right? Like they've been convinced of that because it serves other people for them to have been convinced of that. So like they're tricked into thinking this is going to make them happy. And then they wake up one day and they realize they're fucking miserable and then they go pop some fucking pills and feel nothing. And
then they'll triple down on social media about how happy they are. And they'll make TikToks and reels dancing about being childless and 40. And it's like, happy people don't do this. Like if you're
like
really,
the MGTOW guys.
Yeah, it's like nothing screams, I don't want attention more than like begging for attention.
Well,
nothing screams, I want attention more than talking about how much you don't want attention.
It's so crazy for me because until like 3 or 4 years ago, I also thought that I don't want kids.
Right.
And I had some very profound experiences on some backcountry trips with some Brotherhood guys. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me, man? How was I convinced of this? And it's such a crazy thing. Like the percentage of women that are like, I am not prioritizing having children. I'm not prioritizing finding a man. Like I want to go travel and have fun and party. It's like we have somehow convinced women and men too that you should, as a organism that engages in sexual reproduction in order to exist. This is like the third or fourth most important thing in survival after like food, water, and protection oxygen from the elements. Yeah. Reproducing is number 4. And we've convinced like a third or half of a generation that you don't need to do that, right? It's like convincing people to stop eating or to jump off a fucking bridge. It's like end your genetic legacy today through your choices is a crazy thing we've convinced so many people to do. And there's reasons that so many people have been convinced of this, but we're not going to get into that on YouTube.
Maybe that's next week.
But it's like, to me, it blows my mind, right? That this could even be a question that a woman wakes up at 45, no children and no man, and there's any type of confusion about why she's not happy. This is like, it's literally like the bird in the cage plucking its fucking feathers out because it cannot engage in its biological function of flying around and eating berries and shit. It's like, of course you have lost your mind. You're so far from your biological function. But yeah, what can we do other than try to fix the next generation that we must create, right? We have to try to protect them from this conditioning, and raise them to see the truth and move forward.
You save the ones you can, and the ones you can't, you read them their last rites, and you wish them well. Yeah. That said, I think pretty good note to wrap on. Guys, we'll be back next week, Tuesday, 8 p.m. This has been a lot of fun. Always like doing these, and I love going down these rabbit holes and talking about kind of the game within the game when it comes to like dating, mating, attraction, women, and all that kind of stuff. So definitely gives me some stuff to think about. I already shot you that tweet, like I shot it to you already in a text. So take a look at that, but send that to your woman or women, wherever you stand at this given juncture. But guys, it's always fun. Please, if you're watching this on replay, or if you haven't already and you're watching live, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Really helps us out. Really appreciate it. If you guys want to see more stuff like this, drop comments, drop things and ideas that you want us to talk about. Yeah, we really enjoy doing these with you guys. We're going to keep doing them. Like I said before, I think we're probably going to put an indefinite hiatus on the ladies show, but I do have something that I'm spinning up hopefully over the next couple weeks and or months, hopefully sooner than months, but it'll be a little bit more driven in studio, higher production value. So we'll kind of go from there and kind of figure that out. So anything else you want to drop before we wrap?
I don't think so. We'll see. We'll see next week. We might have to do something with show scheduling. I might be driving a moving truck.
All right, we got to move some things around. Oh yeah, I see what day of the week, that kind of stuff, or what time of year it is. I know you're going to be moving some things around. All right, well, if we need to move and figure it out, we will. But guys, again, thanks for coming and tuning in. Everybody have a happy and safe 4th of July weekend. Don't blow your hand off with any fireworks or anything stupid like that. And we will absolutely see you guys on the next one.